everyone, my name is Marie, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to another speed build, and welcome to another life and death build. So I'm doing another build in the world of Ravenwood, which is of course the brand new world that came with the Life and Death expansion pack, and I'm still just enjoying this pack, exploring it, doing builds with it. I'm still feeling very inspired by the new world and the new items that we got, so here is yet another Life and Death build. I hope you're not tired of them yet, because I'm having so much fun with them. I'm again building in the more spooky neighborhood of Ravenwood, so you can kind of see, like you can kind of tell by the lighting already that it's just very dark and gloomy, and it's that more like spooky area in the world where the veil between the dead and the living is thinnest, and that's what we're building right now. This is my second build here. The first one I did was that church and cemetery, which is also already up on my channel, so if you're interested in that build, then you can totally find that on my channel as well. But this is the second one that I'm doing here in this neighborhood. This is a manor. I'm calling it a Macabre Manor, and it's just basically an old kind of spooky looking house, but it's definitely also still a family home. It has a bunch of bedrooms. Let me see if I can remember how many. I think it has 5 bedrooms total, and then 4 bathrooms, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there, but of course we're going to watch this entire thing come together, which, as you can tell by the length of this video, took me a minute. This video is pretty long, so I hope you have a snack on hand and something to drink, because it was a long one, this one, especially because it's just pretty spacious. It's kind of big, so the inside definitely took me a minute to decorate all the rooms, but also the exterior for this one somehow was a lot of trial and error. I was feeling very inspired to build this. I wanted to do like a house with a bunch of porches. As you can see, I used some round walls for towers, and there was something about this build that it took me a long time to figure out what it was that just wasn't sitting right with me. I would just go back and forth and look at the build and the shape and the roofing, and I would just be like, I know what I'm going for here, but there is something off about it that I just don't enjoy. And at some point I finally realized that it was the roofing that I didn't like. So at some point a little bit later on, I'm going to be redoing not the entire roofing, but definitely like the main big roof area that you can see, like the big roof on the big like base of the house, essentially, if that makes any sense. I'm going to redo that and try a different style of roof, and I feel like that definitely made it better. It did make it so that I have another, like a third story to the house. So, but that was actually good, because that gave me like a creepy attic space where I actually ended up placing a coffin, and then that could be the bedroom for the ghost, which brings me to the storyline for this house. So I built most of this home, or most of this house, by myself. I did the entire exterior by myself, and then I decorated it for the most part on stream, which was so much fun because I didn't really have a specific storyline thought out for this build. I just knew I wanted to build something that focuses on the color black, because that's not something I tend to do, and I just wanted it to have that macabre look and feel, and I just really wanted it to tie into this new pack and the theme of the pack and the families it comes with and just that whole thing. It's also most definitely not a limited pack build, by the way. I used all sorts of packs. I was definitely mixing and matching and having a lot of fun with that. So it is not a limited pack build by any means, but yeah, I combined a bunch of Castle Estate with this one, for example, which went really, really nicely. And I just a whole bunch of other packs as well. You can kind of see it once we go to the interior of the build. You'll mostly see like which packs I used, but I'm just so happy with how this build came out in the end. Even though it did take me a hot minute to finally get to a point where I was like, okay, exterior wise, this is what I want. Like, this is what I want it to look like. It definitely took me a second. It's also something about round walls that just always throws me off a little bit. Like, I have a hard time blending that in naturally with the rest of the build, if that makes sense. I know it looks just fine. Like, now that I'm looking back at the footage, I'm like, okay, this looks just fine. It's usually when I'm in the process of building, I'm my own worst critic, you know? So everything I do, I'm like, does that look good? You know, like I will question everything, especially when I'm doing this style of a house that I just don't do very often, so I'm not that comfortable with it. And the roof lines are a little different than I would usually do them, and the tower, there was something about the tower. Now that I'm looking back at the footage, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see what I was getting at. One thing I wasn't sure of is that the whole tower is kind of like the same width for all 3 stories. And at some point I was like, okay, maybe I should have made the top part like smaller, but then that was giving me issues with the round walls and with the roof, and so I just kept it the way it is, and I just messed around with the roofing a little bit later on, and it just ends up looking pretty good. I can't lie, I'm just really happy with how this house came out. But yeah, it was definitely a struggle. You can see that I'm going through lots of windows and the window placement, and it was kind of difficult to figure out. Also, this lot is not that big. I wanted to build a big like manor like house, which is essentially what this is, but that did make it so that I essentially just took up all of the lot space with the exterior of the house. We barely have any yard space left. We do have a couple of like a little bit of space in the back of the house for a small backyard. We have a bunch of porches, so that definitely helps outdoor space wise. And then we have a pretty spacious front yard where I also put in a grave and everything, so it actually did end up working out. But ideally, I would have liked a bigger yard for this type of house. I think that would make it look a little bit more natural, because it kind of looks a little cramped because we don't have that much yard space, but I think it's fine. I just really wanted to build in this world, and I wanted to build something big, and we don't really have that many big lots. I think there's a 64 by 64, but I was like, okay, that's a little bit much. I don't really want to do that. I'm currently working on another 64 by 64, which is another build in my Gilmore Girls series, actually, that I started a little while ago, which is in Brindleton Bay, so it's a different world, but it is on a 64 by 64, and I've been doing some work slowly but surely. I've been doing some work on that house, and every time I load into it, I'm like, why? Why did I make this decision? Because it's so big. And I know it has to be, because it's the Gilmore Girls manor, you know, like it has to be big. But oh my God, 64 by 64 lots are intimidating. But yeah, just so you know that that build is also at some point coming to the channel. It's also going to be another massive video. It's probably going to be an hour long, I'm not sure, but that house is huge. So this one's not that big in comparison, but yeah, like I said, we didn't really have that much yard space left. I did really enjoy this really cute sunroom that we have on the side of the house. I think that is just so pretty. And at certain times of the day, the lighting is absolutely gorgeous on the inside. Like, it's so good. I love the lighting in this world. Or like in this portion of the world. Actually, the lighting is good in all the neighborhoods for this world, but there is something about this spooky, more gloomy lighting. It's almost like moonlight instead of sunlight, if you know what I mean. I don't think it is that, but you know, it kind of gives me that illusion, and I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's something completely different, and I guess that's just sort of what's inspiring me here as well. But yeah, you can really see the exterior come together. It's very manor-like. We have lots of pointy roofs, but at some point pretty soon, I think I'm going to be redoing a portion of the roof, and that's going to make it look so much better. I'm also going to have space to do an actual little sunroom kind of dome thing on the roof. You'll see it once we get there, but I just think that that turned out pretty good. I was using some Castle Estate doors for this house, and oh my God, they match so nicely with this pack. I know I've said that a few times already, but I'm just very excited about it. So I guess if you have this pack and you're really enjoying this type of build, like this style of build, I think you're really gonna like the Castle Estate kit if you don't have it already. I think that's gonna be a really nice addition for this. Here you can see I'm starting to just kind of mess around with the roofing already. I'm like, there needs to be something added to this, because the base roof is just too much of like a random square pointy. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but something just didn't sit right. And I was adding some dormers here, which I think actually looked nice. Dormers as in like just roof pieces that I make look like they're dormers, but they're not actually. I think that works out nicely though, but I'm gonna change it later. Here you can see I'm playing around with some vines. I'm obsessed with these vines. I think they're so pretty, and I needed them here to cover up my odd window situation. As you can see, we have that sunroom, and then I have some smaller windows around it. it. And sometimes I'll place windows on a house in a specific way, and I'm like, okay, now it looks like a face. This might sound incredibly random, but maybe some other like fellow builders understand. Sometimes you'll just place windows and stuff on a wall and it's like, okay, but now the wall looks like it has eyes, like it looks like a face. And I just hate that so much and I can't unsee it. And that's kind of what was happening there on the side. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna whip out my vines and I'm gonna cover this entire thing up so you can't really see it, but there'll still be windows on the inside, you know, they're just a little bit overgrown, which is fine because it makes sense for this type of manor. Also, by the way, you can see here that I'm messing around with the roofing. So essentially what I did is I added another story on top of the house, and then I placed, are those gabled roofs up to the side of them? I'm not sure if those are hipped roofs or gabled roofs. I never know which one's which, but you probably know what I mean. But that doesn't make it so that I have another story, which I guess it's fine because like I said, it gave me space for an attic. But it was definitely more ground to cover when it comes to furnishing the interior. And then still at this point I was like, okay, but now it's still looking a little bit like a blob. So I was messing around with those dormers, but then I was like, okay, now that looks like a face, so I can't have that either. So as you can see, it was just a whole bunch of trial and error, deleting and redoing. And I definitely did cut most of that out of the speed build, but still, I think it's also kind of fun to see the process behind it. And also, at some point I was so happy because I started building this before I had my updated tool mod or better build by. And then when I loaded into this lot another day, like I think a day later, I finally had access to my updated tool mod again. And then that was giving me so much more freedom to scale things up and down, a little bit more precise. And that was just like really nice to have that back. And then here I actually realized, okay, I have this third floor now, but I don't have any windows. Like I don't have any dormers to add windows and make it so that there is any natural light coming through. So I decided to add those dormers on the side, which I think looks really cool. Like they're almost sort of tower-like, and it just adds another dimension to the build, and it makes it look a little bit more messy in the sense that it's just like a really big house with a lot of bump outs and a lot of random rooms and little towers and things. That's kind of the vibe I was going for in the first place anyway. So those random little dormers on the side of the third floor, like on the side of the attic, I think they look pretty cool, and it made it so that I had some actual natural like daylight coming through those windows as well. And then I also put a sunroof or skylight. Skylight is the word I'm looking for. Yes, I put a skylight on top of that roof there, and I think that that just looks really cool. And then I just spent a lot of time adding details. I feel like what's important for these types of houses is like details on the roofs. So I really tried to do my best to add lots of little spikes. I'm not sure what to call them, but like the little roof details, you know, I'm sure there's a term for it in English that I just don't know what it is. But yeah, lots of those little things on the roof. We got a lot of really cute roof decorations, or not a lot, but definitely a few really cute roof decorations with the new pack as well. So that really helped. And I was going for this creepy fence that I just think is so good. I had to place that all around the build as well. And then here I'm finally getting started on the landscaping a little bit. I was definitely having a lot of fun with the debug from Life and Death. It comes with some really odd things, like some really oddly, brightly colorful, like bright colored plants and like purple flowers and things that I think are really pretty. Also a lot of dead looking hedges, which actually were perfect for this type of build. And you can really see that like light purple lilac color kind of around in the surrounding area as well. There's a lot of, as gloomy as this area is, there's a lot of very brightly colorful plants and things, and I just think it's really cool. Like it's a really cool contrast. I think it looks really pretty. So I was kind of trying to do that here as well, and I was definitely using a lot of vampires debug landscaping as well. That purple plant, I have no idea what kind of plant that is, but I think it's so pretty. So I added a bunch of those, and yeah, just some other green plants, like some base game debug as well. And I was just having a lot of fun trying to make this blend in. I know, like I wanted to make this house house very macabre and like black and dark and kind of scary looking. But there is something about landscaping that just makes me so happy. So I definitely have a lot of greenery around as well. Like not all the plants are dead. I definitely wanted to play around with colors and just greenery and in general. So I think that that turned out really cool. And then for the color scheme of this house, it's definitely very black, which was a challenge for me. Usually when I do more gloomy builds like this, I'll use black, like I'll use a lot of black accents. But for this house, I was definitely trying to go black on black on black. So we have really dark floors, we have gray and black wallpapers, we have black and gray furniture, like everything is very much like dark and gloomy. And usually when I go for builds like this, I will try to use black, but then I'll also just use a lot of warmer, darker wood tones to kind of warm it up a little bit and have there be somewhat of a contrast as well. But here for this one, I was definitely trying to challenge myself to use, like I said, a lot of black and just we definitely have some colors to kind of break it up and add like touches of colors and just like some eye catchers here and there, and that definitely helps. So not everything is black, and definitely the bedrooms, all the bedrooms basically have their own color scheme with a lot of black still regardless, but also they all have their own like color scheme and like sort of theme going on as well. So I was definitely enjoying that. In the living room at first, I thought I wanted to kind of break up the color pattern or the color scheme and put a lighter wallpaper, but I actually ended up swapping that to black as well. So we definitely have a lot of black. And then the first thing I'm doing here for the interior is I got started with the hallway. We definitely have a very large, grand, like entryway space for this house. Usually what I like to do is I like to put a staircase in the entrance. That's not what I ended up doing for this. The staircase is actually in the living room. I did cut out me creating the floor plan for this house because as per usual, it took me 5 million years to get it figured out. So yeah, I actually did all of that off camera, which I think makes sense. But of course, at the end of the video, I will give you a run through of this house and I'll show it to you in real time. So you can get a better sense of how this entire monstrosity of a house is laid out. But I think I really like the floor plan for this one. I think it's pretty cool. We have this really grand hallway like entrance, which definitely takes away space from other rooms. But I feel like that's okay because the house is so big in general that I just really like this open big hallway. We have a tower here, like part of the tower here in the hallway that I actually turned into like a kind of a sunroom space as well. And I put the organ in there. I thought that that was so cool and so spooky. Like I wanted to do a grand piano at first, but then I was like, I think the organ from the Vampires pack is going to be so perfect in that round sunroom spot. So that's what I ended up doing. And this hallway is actually a pretty functional space because we also have a chess table in here. So yeah, you can actually do some activities in this hallway. It's not just dead space where it's just used because that's where the front door is located and you like walk into the house that way. But we actually, like it actually has some functionality to it, which I think is really cool. Then here, it is a very closed off floor plan, as you can probably already tell. Here off of the hallway, I made use of a bunch of archways and then I placed those really beautiful curtains over them, which those curtains are from the Life and Death pack. And I keep forgetting, well, I've actually used them quite a bit already, but weirdly enough, they're not in the curtain area. So I really have to remember to use them because they're located under the wall decorations as opposed to the curtain section in the menu. So it's kind of sometimes difficult to find. I'll just not come across them and then I'll have to really remember to use them, but I think they're really pretty. So I placed them over the archways here, which is not a perfect fit. As you can see, the archway is a little bit bigger, but I still think it's cool. Like it definitely adds some detail to the house that way. And that's definitely what I was looking for. Since these rooms were so massive, I was definitely looking for a way to add texture and like make things more bulky in that sense so that it takes up more space. You know, I thought that that was something this house could really use. But here you can see we have this really gorgeous dining room. I actually think that the dining room might be my favorite room in this house. I think it turned out really cool and grand. The people living here, which I'll talk to you about the storyline that we came up with for this house in a little bit as well, but we were definitely thinking that the family living here enjoys hosting dinner parties and stuff, so I definitely wanted an 8-seater dining table in here. We also have a separate seating area here in the dining room by the fireplace, which I thought was so cool. Just imagine like having this grand dinner, and then after dinner you're kind of getting some drinks and you can kind of move things over to the couch here, not with everyone because it's only a love seat, but you know what I mean. Like, I think it's cool to have this hangout spot in the dining room so you can kind of move from dinner to drinks and hanging out by the fireplace. I don't know why, but it just was really speaking to my soul. I think it turned out really, really cool. And as you can see, I also put in a glow bar for that reason because, of course, drinks. I was messing around with putting a full-on bar in this area, but it was just a little bit too awkward. I did not like how it looked. So I just went for a glow bar instead so your Sims can still grab drinks and just hang out. And yeah, there's something about all this black, but still there is a lot of details. As you can see, there's a lot of details in the wallpaper. There's a lot of intricate details here on the fireplace, even though it's all black. And I feel like those details really make this space come to life. And then I did break it up here and there with dark brown doors. Like there's a door off of the dining room to the back porch, which is like a dark brown door. So it kind of is a little mismatched and broken up that way. I think that makes sense, and I think that looks really cool. And then after that, we're moving on here to the living room space, and as you can see, I have a lighter color wallpaper in here at first, but I did end up swapping that out for a black because I just felt like I was really having so much fun with all those dark colors in the dining room that I really wanted to continue that in here as opposed to breaking it up with a lighter color instead. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. There's a lot of fireplaces in this room, or in this house, by the way. I think we have one. Yeah, we have one in the dining room, we have one in the living room, and then there's also one in the main bedroom upstairs. So yeah, there's like 3 fireplaces in total, which I think makes sense for a house in this style. But yeah, you know, that's it's a little bit excessive that way, but that's definitely what I was going for. So a little bit about the storyline. So as I mentioned already, I actually did most of the furnishing on stream. So I had chat with me to kind of come up with a storyline because I literally did not have any idea for like a storyline or household to live in this house. And that's when we came up with something really fun, and I'm going to try to remember, like see if I can remember all the details, because there was definitely a lot of details that we were talking about and that we thought of on stream as I was decorating. I don't think I can remember all the details that we had, but I'm going to try to tell you, to explain it to you. So we were basically thinking of a future / alternate timeline version of the Goth family. So we're talking future as in a few generations later. So the people living in this house, first of all, we have Mortimer Goth as a ghost. He is the great grandpa of this household, so kind of like an ancestor who is very old and very much unalive. And as you could have maybe seen at the beginning of the video somewhere when I was doing the landscaping, I actually put a grave out in the front yard, and we were thinking that's Mortimer Goth's gravestone, so that's where he's buried, but he's a ghost and he is part of this household, and his bedroom is actually up on the top floor in the attic where I placed a coffin. And in this alternate version, like in this alternate timeline version of the Goths, we were thinking that Mortimer was a musician and a pianist. I guess he was a musician and he loved to play the piano, but also the organ. So we have a grand piano in the living room, we have the organ in the hallway, and that's what Mortimer Goth will play as a ghost. We thought that was really fun. And in this version of the Goths family, we were thinking that Bella Goth was still missing and she never returned. So Mortimer has been by himself. They did have children. They did have Cassandra and Alexander. I always mix up those names. Clearly, it's just Cassandra and Alexander, the children of the Goths that we all know and love. They exist, but Bella went missing sometime after they were born, and Bella never returned. We don't know what happened to her, and I feel like Mortimer is still he has unfinished business. Like, he wants to know what happened to Bella, so that's why he's still around as a ghost, because he cannot properly rest until he knows what happened. So that's kind of what we were thinking. Then we have Cassandra in this house, who is now an elderly. We were thinking that she was unhappily married to Don Lothario, And they did have children. I'm really trying to remember what exactly it was that we thought about. So we have Cassandra Goth in the main room. No, not in the main room. She actually has another room, not the main room. No. Okay. So she lives in this house as an elderly Sim. She was unhappily married to Don Lothario, and Don is just no longer around. He's not alive. We don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was unalived. We'll never know. But we were also thinking that Cassandra Goth actually had an affair with the Grim Reaper at some point, and that's where Cassandra's children come into play. So the main matriarch, I guess, for this household, the adult of the house, she is Cassandra's daughter, and she is, Cassandra's and the Grim Reaper's daughter. So she lives in this house as well with her family, and then she actually has a baby, an infant. So we also have a nursery in this house, which I think turned out so cute. I used the nursery kit for that room, and I was dying to use that, pun not intended. But I really wanted to use the storybook nursery kit in this house. I hadn't used it yet in combination with the new pack, so I was really trying to find an excuse to use it. So yeah, the matriarch, which is the Grim Reapers and Cassandra Goth's daughter, as mentioned, she had a baby not too long ago, an infant, and they actually also have a nursery in this house. So that's going to be the future generation of the Goths. So that's the Sims that we have living in this house. And then we also have a random teenagers room in this house, because I really wanted to do a teenager's house and combine things from this pack with the high school years expansion pack. So we also have a teenager living in this house, but we were thinking that that's not Cassandra's child, or Cassandra's daughter's child. Actually, by the way, it's also unclear at this moment to me if Cassandra's daughter actually lives here with their spouse, because she did have a baby, but I'm kind of leaning towards her being a single mother, and she maybe had a science baby. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but she can obviously have a partner or a spouse living in this house as well, because there's definitely more than enough space for that. But then, like I said, we also have a teenager. We were thinking that that's offspring of Alexander, because we clearly also have Alexander Goth. He is not really anywhere in this storyline, but I think that someone in chat, as I was decorating this, told me that there is some version of a timeline where Alexander Goth actually at some point had a wife named Cecilia, and they passed away, but they did have a kid. So I was thinking that kid's kid, who is now a teenager, lives in this household because their parents are always traveling, or maybe even also unalive. That is definitely possible. Maybe their entire family is cursed. Maybe they all had the chased by death trait, and literally everyone passed away. I know that's very sad, but it kind of ties into this whole pack and the gameplay for this expansion pack pretty nicely. So maybe we could say that that's the thing that happened. So the teenager living in this house is a cousin, and they are Alexander Goth's grandchild, but Alexander Goth already passed away, and his wife did too, and their kid did too, but they did have a child who's now a teenager. I'm hoping that this storyline makes any sort of sense, because we definitely have a couple of generations in this house, but that is definitely what we were thinking. And then for Cassandra's daughter, so the matriarch, I guess, living in this house, we were thinking that she wants to take after her dad, and she wants to become the next Grim Reaper. So she's actually in the Grim Reaper career. Is it kind of weird that she's working for her dad? Well, I don't think that's weird, actually. So she is in training, and she is working to become the next Grim Reaper. And I actually think that's pretty cool. It's like a family business kind of thing, which is kind of funny. So yeah, that's what we were thinking. And yeah, I hope that this storyline makes any sort of sense. Like I said, it's pretty elaborate, but we had so much fun thinking of that and decorating this house. It was just really fun. And I'm feeling pretty inspired actually to create these Sims. So maybe I might. I do also know myself, and I know that I get pretty tired of create a sim pretty fast, because I'm just not that patient of a person, and I'm not that great at cast. I have fun with it, but it's not my expertise. I'm way more of a builder, but now that I'm talking about this storyline again, I'm feeling pretty inspired to maybe create these Sims, Or maybe you feel inspired to create these Sims, and if you do, make sure to let me know in the comments and let me know where to find them, or like add the hashtag look Simmary. I know that some people have been uploading things there if they wanted to see, like if they wanted to create something for me to see, be that a build or a family or whatever. You can always look the hashtag look Simmary on the gallery and I will find it. But please, if you feel inspired to create this household, let me know in the comment section down below and let me know where to find them, or if I can find them on the gallery, because I really want to see that. I love looking at other people's cast creations. I just think people are so talented and creative, Sim, and that could never be me. So I really enjoy looking at other people's households. But yeah, in the meantime, you can really see the ground floor for this house come together. I think we're almost done with the ground floor. After the kitchen and the bathroom, I moved on to the porches, which I usually do last, but I really wanted to cover all the bases here on this floor of the house. So I was like, okay, let me do the outdoor spaces first before they become an afterthought, you know, because I really like the porches and I wanted to give them the love and attention they deserve. So that's what I was doing here. We have a little front porch with just a bunch of plants. I definitely wanted these porches to be somewhat functional, so I added a bench here. And then one thing I also added was the telescope, which unfortunately is not all the way functional when you place it on a porch with a roof over it, because then it just doesn't work. So I also placed a telescope on the porch in the back where we have no, like, that's an uncovered porch. So there the telescope will actually function, which I think is really cool. Then I came across these creepy statues from the romantic garden stuff, and I thought those are perfect, so I had to place them in the garden as well. And then here we have that tiny back porch where I placed some more benches for Sims to hang out, and also like another telescope, like I said. Also, you may or may not have noticed that in the kitchen, I placed a lot of wine. We have those wine crates from the Horse Ranch pack, and I placed a lot of them. I was just looking for a way to cover up some like empty wall space that was bothering me. And then someone noticed, or someone mentioned or suggested those wine boxes from the Horse Ranch pack, and that was so perfect. And there's a lot of wine. So we were thinking that maybe Mortimer as a ghost took up nectar making or juice making. What's it again called? I'm not exactly remember. I think nectar, right? Nectar making, yeah, as a hobby. And at the same time, these people, I feel like they love to host dinner parties, like very extravagant dinner parties in their very extravagant dining room by the fireplace, you know? That's kind of what we were thinking. So they just have a lot of wine. Or maybe Mortimer Goth is just like in the shady wine business these days. That is definitely a possibility as well. I think that could be pretty funny. But then after I did all the porches, we're moving on to the second floor, where we actually have 4 bedrooms total and 2 bathrooms. So we have 1 bathroom here. The first bedroom that we're doing is the matriarch's, so Cassandra's daughter's bedroom, which is the main bedroom of the house. As you can see, is really big. There's also a like part of the tower is attached to this room as well, which I think was so cool. And of course, clearly I had to do another fireplace because I had all the space for all the things in this room. So I went ahead and placed another fireplace in here. And then I actually tool modded the family portrait here in the fireplace, which I think looks really cool. As I was doing it, I was a little bit worried because I sized it down. So I was wondering if it was still gonna function, but it is actually still functional. This portrait actually sizes down, and then the picture of the household still generates properly even though it's sized down like in this portrait. So that was actually perfect, and it looks so cute. I will clearly show it to you at the end of the video when we do a run through of this house. But I was definitely trying to find all kinds of ways to fill up the space in this bedroom because, as you can see, it's massive. It's actually the first time I've used this particular double bed in this pack. I've used the other one a couple times, but not this one. So I was happy to use this one in here. I thought it looked nice with the wallpaper. I finally found a way to use this wallpaper. I think it's so gorgeous. It's the one that I was using in the living room at first before I swapped it out. I think the colors are so pretty, but I've been finding it pretty difficult to use. So I just place it here in the bedroom, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. It makes the room stand out from the rest of the house a little bit. I was having a lot of fun with all my black downstairs. But then I was like, okay, for the bedrooms, I kind of want to change, like shake things up a little bit and add some color to them, but still have them be very dark and gloomy and black, but also have there be some accent colors. So that's what I did upstairs. But then I combined the colors for the most part, just with black, of course. And then here we actually have the first or the second bathroom. I think this is the master bedroom, if you will. This one is attached to the main bedroom, so it's an ensuite, and it's very big. I don't normally make my bathrooms this big, and I definitely struggle when I do. I'm so used to my tiny bathrooms where I just have this specific layout that I basically always do, and it never fails and it always works, and I always manage to make it look okay. But for bigger bathrooms, I just definitely struggle. I just really wanted this main bedroom that's so grand and extra to have a very extra and grand ensuite as well, so that's what I went for. Of course, I had to place the new tub, which is just so pretty. I love this like tiger stripe gold marble. I think that's absolutely stunning. I also created this walk-in shower here because I had so much space that just a silly one tile shower just looked so small in here. It's not silly, like I love the new shower in this pack. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but yeah, it was so small. It did not take up enough space at all. So I actually went ahead and created a walk-in shower with the wall-mounted shower from, I think it's Lovestruck that I used. Then we also have this really beautiful double sink, and as you can see, we have a tub and just a toilet. I love this toilet from Vampires. It's absolutely perfect for this house and for these bathrooms as well, so that's what I went with. And then we actually have another bathroom, which is a Jack and Jill for the two other bedrooms that we have. And then we also have this nursery, and this nursery does not have an ensuite, so that's a little bit unfortunate. We don't have any hall baths upstairs, which for this bedroom might be a little bit annoying. I wasn't actually going to turn this into a bedroom at first, which is why the floor plan turned out the way it did, I guess. But then I realized how badly I wanted to use this nursery kit, and at the same time we also came up with the storyline and all the Sims living in this house. So I figured, you know what, I just kind of want to make, instead of turning this room into like a library slash study, which was what I was going to do at first, I turned it into a nursery instead, and I'm really happy that I did because I think it turned out so cute. As you can see, I am definitely focusing on the items that came with the Storybook Nursery kit in this really pretty red color. I don't use red very often. It's not a color that I tend to use a lot, but I think for this nursery, it's absolutely perfect, and this shade of red is so pretty. I also love combining it with this blue and black crow wallpaper from the new pack. It is so well made, and I just think it's absolutely gorgeous and perfect for this kind of creepy but also cute nursery at the same time. Oh, and now that I'm looking at this red nursery, I'm actually remembering something that I thought of just by myself the other day to make this storyline come full circle, essentially. I was thinking that the infant in this household could be Bella Goth reincarnated, which obviously no one realizes that, but I think that that would be so cool, which is why her nursery is like red themed, and there is also that little decoration above the crib with the hot air balloons, and that has like a tiny little Bella Goth. And I also placed that Bella Goth themed plushie in the bed, like the black cat with the red dress. So I thought that was absolutely perfect. And yeah, how cool would it be to make this storyline come full circle and we have Bella Goth reincarnated as a baby in this household? I just think that that's so fun. So yeah, that's essentially again like the storyline that I was thinking of. So because I turned that room into a nursery, I didn't have space for a study anymore, so I just placed a small desk and things on the landing. The landing is pretty spacious, so I had the space to put a desk there. One thing I realized was it would have been cool to add the Crystal Creations jewelry making table. I'm not exactly sure what that item is called, but you know the one. I didn't actually end up placing that in here anywhere, but I think that would have been such a fitting hobby for any of the Sims living in this house. I did create a hobby room in the sunroom downstairs where I actually placed a painting area where I used a bunch of the not the Storybook Nursery, the other kit that came out simultaneously, the artist studio kit, I think is what it's called. I used a bunch of that stuff in the sunroom downstairs, and then I also placed a seance table because I just think that that would be really cool. I imagine Mortimer Goth using that seance table to see if he can make contact with Bella, to see if he can find her that way, to see if he can find any other ghosts that maybe know something about what may have happened back in the day to Bella Goth, where she is, where she went. She clearly is passed away. If anything, like, we don't know what happened to her, but she's really old, so she's definitely not alive anymore. Which also, she's reincarnated at this point, which no one realizes, but that is what happened. But yeah, I was thinking that Mortimer Goth is using the seance table to kind of find out what happened to his wife back in the day. I think that would be really cool. And then this green and red bedroom is actually for Cassandra. I know that Cassandra used to be into purple, but that is something I only realized when it was already too late and when I had already decorated this bedroom. I was like, okay, I can change the colors, but I can also just kind of leave it green and red because I think it's really pretty. I love this green wallpaper so much. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I was looking for an excuse to use it. So yeah, I found it here in Cassandra's bedroom. And then this rug from the Crystal Creations pack in red, I think is just absolutely stunning. Then there is a little bathroom. You can kind of see it in between these bedrooms that I didn't actually record because this video is already so long. So I didn't really need to record another bathroom. But here we have the teens room, and I really wanted to combine some of the high school years items in this bedroom, which is why I wanted to do a teens bedroom so badly. Because I knew from the get-go that this bed and these nightstands that I'm using would be really good, and also this desk that I ended up placing from the same furniture set, I just knew from the get-go would be really good in here, so I went for them. And now that I'm looking back, I realized that I actually just did the same color scheme, but the other way around for this bedroom. When you look at Cassandra's room, it's also green and red, and this is definitely red and green, but also has some touches of dark blue, as you can see in the bed and then also in the desk. So I think that's a really cool color scheme. I would never put those colors together normally, but I think in the shades, in these specific shades, I think they look really good. And just style-wise, I'm also obsessed with those curtains, by the way. I use those curtains in all the bedrooms, just in different colors. And they're actually from the Lovestruck expansion pack. I literally did not know these existed. It's sort of the same as with the really cool extra curtains that we got in the Life and Death pack. They're not listed under curtains. They're listed under wall decorations, which is so random. And for that reason, I just never come across these curtains, and I just don't know they exist. I'm pretty sure I've seen them when I went over all the items that came with the Lovestruck pack when it first came out. But after that, I just kind of forgot about them, and then I never came across them because, like I said, they're not listed under curtains. But yeah, I think they were absolutely perfect for this house. They're so extravagant and very extra, like theater-looking curtains almost, and that was perfect for this house. And then, as you can see, I just placed some extra knickknacks and decorations in the teens room, and I think that the teens room turned out so fun in this style. And these colors, it's gorgeous. I just love it so much. And then here we have the attic, which is pretty boring. It's a little bit empty. So if you want to download this house and do something else with the attic, you absolutely can. There's definitely more than enough space up here. But I placed a coffin here, and Sims can actually sleep in coffins. So I thought this was the perfect bedroom for Mortimer Goth, who clearly is a ghost. And he has his bedroom up here. There is also that little memorial display where you can put pictures and stuff. I thought that would be cute to remember him. And yeah, that's essentially it. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you this house in real time. So here we have the house in the game. I can't say it often enough, but I just love the gloomy lighting here. I think it's so creepy and it just fits perfectly with the house. I just have my playtester Sim hanging out in front of the house here. She's just chilling. But yeah, here we have the facade of the house. I ended up also adding a small fountain here and some creepy statues. We have Mortimer's grave over here, and then I later on added this one too. Maybe this could be Alexander's gravestone. Definitely a possibility. On the side here is where we have that sunroom and also a small porch out here with some activities. You can do some gardening or you can use the telescope. And then over on this side is a small play area and also with just like a small table and some outdoor bins. But let's go inside. So here you can see a little bit of an overview of the floor plan. It's basically just a very closed off house, but the living room space, I guess, is just very big and also open to the sunroom. So you enter through the front door into this very extravagant, large hallway where we just have a bunch of little knickknacks, just your everyday hallway stuff, I guess, with a coat rack and things. But then there is a sunroom area here with some broken glass. I just think that's so cool. And then we have this pipe organ here, or whatever it's called. Can you imagine just like a ghost Mortimer Goth in this instance, just sitting here playing the pipe organ at 3 in the morning? I can totally see that and I love it. We have my other playtester sim here just hanging out. He was clearly just playing some chess. In the hallway as well, there are some bookcases here. Straight through this archway is where you enter into the dining room, and I think the dining room is my favorite room of the house. I am obsessed with this table from Vampires combined with these very extravagant dining chairs from the Life and Death pack. There's this really beautiful cabinet here in the back with the gold details. I placed some wedding flowers in the corner because I just love this color and I think it's absolutely gorgeous to have that in your house. Why not? And then over on this side is where we have a hangout space in the dining room where you can just enjoy your after dinner drinks. There's some games here, a bottle of wine, some magazines, and there's also some bookcases in the back here. Then there's a door into the kitchen here off of the dining, but let's go back into the hallway and then through this archway. This is where we enter into the living room. The living room is so spacious. I was definitely struggling a little bit with what to place in here, but I think it turned out really cool. So there is a seating area here with a bunch of couches. I love the throw pillows in these couches. I think it adds so much. We just have a bunch of plants because this house is so dark and so black. I really found myself using a lot of greenery for those like splashes of color and to make it look a little bit more lively. There's some more games here on the coffee table. We have the fireplace. There's no TV in the living room. I tried, but it just really did not look right. A TV was just not the way to go for this house. So there's actually no TV in here. However, we do have this really beautiful grand piano in here, which again is also from the My Wedding Stories pack. I guess surprisingly, that pack really goes nicely with this one. And then there is another 4-seater table in here, which I guess is more of like an office table almost. I ended up placing this typewriter laptop in here because, you know, a computer doesn't really fit the vibe either, but I love how this typewriter looks, so I could get away with using that one. There's a small reading corner here by the staircase, and I loved using this statue of a peacock. I think that's so cool. I don't think I've ever really used this in a build yet, but it was perfect for this one. There's a grandfather clock that I was imagining to be an heirloom, and then through these archways here is where we have the sunroom. Look at the lighting in here. That's so cool. So we have a seance table in here. We also have some tarot cards, actually. There's a crow in here. So the family has a pet crow. And there is this really cute painting corner where Sims can just clearly do some painting. The artist studio kit really came in handy for that. In this corner over here is a tiny bathroom just kind of tucked away. I turned that into a full bathroom. Then through this door here, you enter into the kitchen, which I love how this one came out. You can kind of see the curtains from the nursery. I'm just now noticing that. That's a little bit annoying, but it's fine. Yeah, so here we have the kitchen. It's very black. I love this tile flooring from the Castle Estate kit in here. It's absolutely stunning. There is this really nice coffee and tea corner with a bunch of pastries. I think this is my favorite part of the kitchen. And then on this side, we have a little microwave and the fridge and some free counter space so your Sims can actually cook. And then over here is where we have all those nectar bottles. There's so much wine in this kitchen, which is so funny, but yeah, we're just gonna say that they love to throw parties. Then over here, we have this second floor with 4 bedrooms, and they're actually all very spacious. So up here is where we have a landing with a small office space, just a little desk and some pictures and some bookcases over on this side. This is the main bedroom of the house. It is actually gigantic, but I love this bookcase wall here. I think that fits so nicely. Then we have this bed. I'm obsessed with the bedding on on this. The pattern is so pretty, and it definitely adds a little bit of color too. In the tower here is where I made I guess sort of like a walk-in closet, but we just have some wardrobes here and a mirror, of course, and then there's an additional dresser on this side. And then of course we have the fireplace, and this is where I tooled that family portrait. And as you can see, even though I sized it down, it's still functional. So yeah, if you actually have like an 8-sim family here, I think that's gonna be so cute. Through this door is where they have an ensuite, which again is very big. We have this nice double sink moment, just a toilet, a tub by the window, and then a walk-in shower on this side. Across from the main bedroom is where we have that nursery. I love the colors. These are definitely not colors I would normally pick because it's just not my cup of tea, but I think they're so pretty together. So maybe from now on I will use these colors more often. So it's very matchy in here, as you can see, but that's exactly what I was going for this specific room. So yeah, the storybook nursery kit definitely came in handy for this house. Then this bedroom over here is for the now elderly Cassandra Goth. Her room is very Christmas coated. Now that I look at it, it's very red and green. We have this other gorgeous bed from the Life and Death pack, and then I combined it with this canopy item from Lovestruck. I think that definitely adds a little bit of drama to this room, and I just think that's really fun. There's also a small vanity in here, and then we just have a bunch of decorations, a small couch in the corner here, or love seat, I should say, and then some wardrobes. Then there is a Jack and Jill bathroom shared with a teenager over here, which is not ideal, but that's just how the floor plan ended up working out. I do like this bathroom though. Really beautiful sink, and then they have the shower tub combo in here and a toilet, of course. And then on this side is the teens room. I really like how this came out. I feel like High School Years combines really nicely with this style. So they have a nice double bed, some very dramatic curtains, a study area here in the corner, a bunch of bookcases. I definitely overuse these, but they're such a nice space filler. I really like them. Then they have a nice hangout spot here and a wardrobe on this side. And then of course we have the attic, which is where Mortimer Goth sleeps, and maybe works like I was kind of pretending this could be his diary where he writes down his findings about Bella Goth. Then there's this memorial table over here and just a bunch of bookcases. This room is pretty empty. So yeah, if you download this house, I feel like it's very easy to add another bedroom up here because there's also a bathroom, a nice ensuite bathroom with just a tub. I thought that would be fun. And then we also have a closet in here. But yeah, that is basically it for this house. So this Macabre Manor is up on the gallery. I used a lot of packs. As you can see, I did not hold back. I had a lot of fun just mixing and matching everything. It comes in at just under 260,000 simoleons, so it's very expensive, but it makes sense for this house. And I built it on a 30 by 30 in the more spooky neighborhood of Ravenwood. So if you want to place it in your game, then that's where it goes. But that's going to do it for today's video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this one. You can obviously go ahead and download this build off the gallery like I just showed you. My username on the gallery is Simmary Sims. You can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok if you like. My username on there is Simmary Sims as well. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, feel free to do so. And if you like to get notified of every single time I upload a video, just click that little bell icon and you should be fine. I also live stream over on Twitch a few times a week. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and give me a follow over on twitch.tv/Simmary Sims. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!